All right, let's dive into some seriously cool AI stuff today.
Sounds good.
You ready to get deep?
Let's do it.
We're talking large language models,
LLMs.
LLMs.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk about them all the time.
Yeah, they're kind of a big deal these days.
Definitely a big deal, but this is a whole new spin.
Oh, yeah?
What if they could become like their own worst critic?
That's interesting. Like, how would that even work?
Well, that's exactly what we're looking at today.
All right, I'm intrigued.
So there's this paper. It's called Enabling Scalable Oversight via Self-Evolving Critic.
Catchy title.
It's a bit of a mouthful,
It really is.
but don't let that scare you away.
I'm not scared.
Because this paper goes deep into a really fascinating question. Like, how can these AI systems get so good at evaluating themselves?
Like, even better than we can.
Exactly.
Especially when you know they're doing things that even humans might struggle with.
That's the real challenge, right? Like, traditional feedback just won't cut it.
It just doesn't scale.
Exactly. Like, imagine trying to grade a PhD student's thesis.
And you barely passed high school algebra.
Exactly. Like, how would you even know where to start?
That's a pretty good analogy.
I'd try.
Well, that's where this whole concept of a self-evolving critic comes into play.
Okay, so how does that actually work?
Well, in this paper, they focused on a very specific domain,
Okay.
mathematics.
Math. Why
Right.
math? Why not something a little more, real world?
I get that, but think about it for a second.
Okay.
Math gives you a unique advantage.
How so?
Unlike, more subjective fields, math problems have very clear right and wrong answers.
True.
So that means it's much easier to judge how good a critique really is.
Like a controlled experiment.
Yeah, it's like a perfect laboratory for studying how AI can actually self-improve.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So walk me through this self-evolving critic thing. Like, how does it actually work?
They call it SCRIT for short, self-evolving critics.
Crit. Got it.
And it's kind of like these AI models are actually grading their own homework.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So tell me more.
So picture this. You have a bunch of AI students,
Okay.
and they're all trying to solve the same math problem.
Okay.
It's the first step.
Gathering all the different solutions.
Same.
Some right, some wrong.
Yep. It's all about learning from the variety, not just the perfect answer.
Gotcha. Diversity is key.
And that brings us to the really cool part of SCRIT. It's this thing called contrastive critique.
Okay, contractive critique. What's that all about?
So instead of just telling the AI right or wrong,
Yeah.
they actually give it a correct solution as a reference point.
Oh, so it's like having the answer key.
Exactly. So the AI can compare its own approach to the ideal one and start to understand why something's wrong.
Not just that it's wrong.
Exactly. It's like having a tutor pointing out where you messed up.
That makes a lot of sense. So then what happens?
Well, then the AI doesn't just point out errors.
Oh.
It actually tries to correct them.
Whoa.
And if its correction leads to the right answer...
Then it knows it was on the right track.
Exactly. Like double-checking your work before you turn it in.
So this self-validation thing is pretty important.
Oh, it's crucial.
Did the researchers actually find that it led to, real improvements?
They did. They tested it using this large language model called Qwen 2.572b Instruct.
Okay, another mouthful.
Right. But the results were impressive.
So Screed actually helped.
Yeah. It significantly improved the model's ability to, find and correct errors, but it also got better at understanding exactly where those errors occurred in the reasoning.
No way. So not only is it getting things right more often, but it's also understanding its own mistakes better.
Exactly. And that has huge implications for how we think about AI development.
Totally. But I'm curious about something.
What's that?
You mentioned the researchers tested different mechanisms of critique.
Oh, yeah.
What were those all about?
Well, imagine a detective trying to solve a case.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Each of these mechanisms is like a different clue.
Wait, hold on. I think we need to unpack that. Yeah.
Or probably best to save that for next time.
Okay, so we're going to leave everyone hanging.
Just a little cliffhanger.
But we'll be back soon to break down these different approaches.
And trust me, it gets really interesting.
I'm already hooked. See you next time.
See ya. Okay, so remember we were talking about those different critique mechanisms?
Yeah, like those AI detective clues.
Exactly. So let's pick up where we left off. Imagine our AI detective is, examining a suspect's alibi.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
What's the first clue?
Lay it on me.
It's called direct critic.
Direct critic. Straight to the point.
It is the most straightforward approach, but it's also kind of limited.
How so?
Well, think of it like our detective just checking the facts.
Yeah.
Does the story line up?
So it's like a basic yes or no.
Pretty much. Right or wrong. No nuance.
Yeah. I could see how that might not be enough for real learning
Exactly. It's like trying to learn a new language and only being told if your grammar is right or wrong.
without any explanation.
Exactly. You'll miss all the subtlety.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the next clue?
This one is called Bug Injection Critic.
Bug injection. That sounds interesting.
It's a bit more creative.
Okay, I'm listening.
So imagine our detective planting false evidence.
Whoa, to see if the suspect cracks.
Yeah,
Uh,
to test their story.
so they're messing with the AI a bit
In a way, yeah. They're introducing errors on purpose.
to see if it can catch them.
Exactly. Like a training exercise for our detective.
That's a cool way to think about it.
So is it effective?
It can be. It helps the AI get better at spotting mistakes.
But what if the errors are, like, too obvious?
Ah, you're thinking like a scientist.
I try.
That is a limitation. It might not prepare the AI for the really tricky stuff.
The real world is messy, right?
It is.
Hmm.
Now let's get to the star of the show.
Okay, the big reveal.
Contrastive critique.
That was the one that really impressed you.
It did. Remember we talked about the AI having access to the correct solution?
Yeah, like having a model student's work to compare against.
Well, with contrastive critique, the AI doesn't just see one solution.
What do you mean?
It gets to compare multiple solutions, some right, some wrong. Oh, so it can see the different paths people took.
Exactly. It learns from both the successes and the failures.
And from those subtle differences that make all the difference.
You got it. It's not just about seeing the right answer, but understanding why some ways of thinking work and others don't.
Like learning from each other's mistakes.
It is, and that's why this approach was so powerful in the research.
It's like they're holding up a mirror to how we learn as humans.
Right. We learn best from mistakes.
And from seeing things from different angles.
Exactly. That's what makes this research so exciting.
It's not just about building smarter AI.
It's about understanding how learning itself works.
That's deep.
It is, but I know what you're thinking.
What's that?
This is all cool in theory, but how does it actually play out in the real world?
You read my mind.
We need to bridge that gap between the lab and real-world applications.
So let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
All right, so we know AI that can critique itself could change the game.
For sure.
But where do we actually see this playing out in real life?
Well, let's think about something like scientific research.
Okay.
Imagine an AI that's not just, crunching data.
Yeah.
But also, like, questioning the whole experiment,
Really?
pointing out potential biases,
Interesting.
suggesting totally new ways to approach the research.
So it's more like an AI research partner.
Yeah, like a co-author almost.
Wow, that could really speed things up.
It could help us break through those mental barriers,
I see what you mean. But what about creativity? Could AI actually help us be more creative?
That's a great question.
Could it help someone write a better novel?
I think so. Imagine an AI that could analyze your writing.
Like for style and stuff?
Yeah, and not just like basic grammar checks,
Going deeper.
suggesting ways to improve the pacing or the character.
Even spot plot holes.
Exactly. It'd be like having a personal writing coach.
That's pretty cool. But wouldn't that take away from the, human element?
That's a really good point.
The author's voice.
It's all about finding the right balance.
Like humans and AI working together.
Yeah. We don't want to replace human creativity.
Just enhance it.
Exactly. It's more about collaboration than competition.
So it's like a dance between human intuition and AI analysis.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
I try. But I think this brings us to an even bigger point.
What's that?
This research isn't just about specific tasks.
It's about something bigger.
Yeah. It's about shifting our whole mindset.
From human-directed learning to...
AI-driven self-improvement.
Exactly. We're not just teaching AI anymore.
We're teaching it to teach itself.
Now that's a powerful thought.
Makes you wonder where we'll end up.
What other fields could this transform?
The possibilities are kind of mind-blowing.
They really are. Imagine AI that can, design better energy grids.
Or personalized education.
Even compose music that we've never heard before.
That's a future I want to be a part of. But it also comes with a lot of responsibility.
You're absolutely right.
How do we ensure that this powerful AI is used for good?
That it aligns with our values.
It's a conversation we need to have now.
Before it's too late.
We need to be thoughtful about the ethical implications.
Transparency and accountability are key.
We need to make sure this technology serves humanity.
It's a call to action for all of us.
For researchers, policymakers, everyone.
To shape the future of AI together.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of self-evolving AI,
It's been quite a journey.
it really has. We want to leave you with one final thought.
A question to ponder.
If AI can get so good at identifying its own flaws,
What does that teach us about our own potential for self-reflection and growth?
Maybe this research is showing us a path to a future,
Where humans and AI can work together to,
not just solve problems.
but to become better versions of ourselves.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible exploration of AI.
Keep learning.
And stay curious.